Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name's Tina and I'm bobbing along nicely. Well, I've got a lot to talk to you about this week. I've got a chat about a visit that I went on to a craft show at the NEC in Birmingham. I visited one of my most favourite fabric shops that I've never actually been to before, but I've bought from online. I also have the fabric now for my Sewing Bee Busy Bee Challenge Part 3. So I'll share my plans with you. I've got a pattern review and I also have a fabric discount code for any of you if you're interested. So if any of that seems of interest, keep watching. You might want to grab a cup of tea. I'll try and be as brief as possible and we'll get going. So first of all, I was lucky enough to go to the NEC craft show last Friday. Now, for various reasons, I would say it was probably one of the worst craft shows I've been to, but also one of the best, and I'll tell you why. I've been to the show over a number of years. I used to go twice a year with a good friend of mine when we were really into card making and scrapbooking. And at that point it was great, and then it sort of went off the boil a little bit in terms of what we were looking for, and then I moved to Wales and it's much further for me to travel. Now that I sew and I'm in a position to travel a little bit more, I decided I'd like to go back. I did go this time last year and it was a great show. So I went last Friday, which was the 31st of October, and I have to say it was very different to my experience from the year before. Now, the show is split into two sections. You've got two big halls adjoining, one of which is a Christmas show with gift type stuff, and the other side, the other hall, is the craft show. Now, I was lucky enough to actually meet with some friends, old and new, from the sewing community. I've got a couple of photos that I'll pop up here. The trip was organised by Sarah of My Handmade Wardrobe, who also runs the Weekend Sewing Club that I've told you about before. And she very kindly arranged a group meeting for us with group price tickets. And it meant that we could actually go around the show with other people. And that's exactly what we did. Now, I think there were about 10 of us in the end, and obviously you can't go around a craft show with that many people. So we split off into little groups, and I went round with my new friend, Lynn. Lynn is Lindy Lou on Instagram and YouTube, and she and I just hit it off straight away. She's fantastic at sewing. I believe she teaches as well, so she's a lot more experienced than me. But we found that we had a lot of things in common, not least the colour choices and fabrics that we tend to gravitate towards. So we actually went round the show together, which was great. Very different to going around on my own, which is what I normally do. It was lovely to get someone else's take on fabrics and what they would and wouldn't buy. I did buy a few things. I'll tell you about those shortly. From a sewist's point of view, I have to say it wasn't a great show. There were, I think, probably 4 or 5 good fabric stalls. Roy's Material World, who I always go and see and I always buy fabric from. I'll pop a picture up here where we had a little photo with him. Lady McElroy, who also had quite a small stall. Rainbow Fabrics, but they only had cotton fabric, and I was really at the show looking for winter fabric. That said, I did buy some fabric from them, some of which I can't share because it might be for gifts. But apart from that, there wasn't very much for people who are interested in sewing. There was one big stall that was selling bag making supplies. In fact, I bought stuff from them last time I went, and it's a big stall and there's a lot of choice. But even things like thread, I wanted to buy some Mariflex thread. I think we saw one stall of Gutermann thread, but it was all autumn colours. And if you don't wear orange, brown, ochre, that kind of thing, you wouldn't have found the thread you were looking for. And indeed, I didn't. So it was a bit disappointing from that point of view. The show in terms of crafting was quite interesting. there were some really, really good card making stalls. And these are sort of harking back now to the kind of stalls that used to be there when I went before. Card making supplies and stamping supplies with lots and lots of inspiration above the actual stall entrance with card samples that they had made. Now I find that really inspiring. I'm just not really into card making at the moment. I don't make the time for it as much as I used to. But if that's the kind of thing you're interested in, then it is a good show to go to. There was quite a lot of cross stitch. Again, not something I do much of at the moment. I do actually have a box of cross stitch kits ready to do when I have more time. Yeah, one day. So I'm not really in the market for buying any more. So from the show point of view, it really was a little disappointing in terms of opportunity to buy fabric and notions and haberdashery, but it's the first time I've ever met up with other people like that, and it was just lovely. It was really, really nice to meet so many people. Some I knew already, some I met for the first time, and actually that reminds me that the sewing community is very much a community. We all like different things, and it's great just to meet up every so often and have a good old chin wag. I think next year I probably won't go to the October show at the NEC based on this year's experience, but I will be finding an alternative show to go to. I've heard great things about the one at Alexandra Palace, so I'm thinking that might figure in my plans for next year. One of the things I did buy was the fabric for my Busy Bee Sewing Challenge Part 3, the made to measure. I mentioned Roy's Material World. He always has a really, really good selection of fabric. And the brief for this final challenge for November is the Made to Measure Challenge. It's something cozy. You can't get much more cozy than sweatshirting, can you? This is the colour I bought. Excuse the rustling. There's a bag down by my foot. It's a really nice brushback sweatshirting. I bought quite a lot of it. Gosh, it takes up a lot of space in the car, doesn't it? But my plan is to make a cardigan. So I've chosen the True Bias Marlowe, which comes in 2 different lengths. The reason I chose this, I know it seems really simple, but I've never actually made a cardigan before. I've never put buttonholes on stretch fabric. So this is going to be a challenge for me, albeit in a slightly different way. So come back later in the month and I'll let you know how I've got on with it. So that's one of my sewing plans. While we were in Birmingham, I was also lucky enough to visit Guthrie and Garney. Now they're out in Moseley, which is quite a nice sort of, I don't know if it's a town or just a suburb of Birmingham, but it's a lovely place anyway. It's a fantastic shop. I was completely overwhelmed and didn't take any photos, but I'll see if I can perhaps pop in one from their own social media here. Again, I was looking for a specific fabric for a specific project. And I have to say the staff there, Jo in particular, they're just so helpful. I was there for ages and ages dithering about. I bought several things, but I'll just share the one for now, which is the one I went for. Again, this is sweatshirting. This time it's a French terry. And it's called Chickachita. Now this comes in several colourways, and if you've followed me on Instagram for any length of time, you'll know that I have this in a beautiful, beautiful turquoise colour in a cotton. And I made the poppy blouse out of it, but I really wanted to make a sweatshirt in this colour. This month's sewing project for the Weekend Sewing Club is the Cozy Sweatshirt. So tomorrow morning I'm going to be online in a Zoom session with all the other members and we'll all be sewing along. So as soon as I've finished talking to you, I'll be cutting it out because I've got until tomorrow morning to get it cut out and ready. What am I wearing? Okay. I'm sure you recognise this fabric from my unboxing. This is from the Beyond the Pink Door fabric box, not the one I've just opened or received. I've not shown you the one before. It's beautiful to work with. I think it's a cotton poplin, but it's just lovely to work with. But I've made the April blouse. I'm not going to stand up because I will bang my head on the ceiling, but I'll show you. This pattern is by NH Patterns, and that's Natasha. It's called the April blouse. I particularly like this pattern because there are so many options. So you've got the front opening, the back opening, which is the one I've made and put the ties on, and a beautiful version with pin tucks, as well as different sleeve options with tucks in. Now I have put the tucks in this, and obviously it doesn't show because it's a patterned fabric, but this garment was very much designed to see how the pattern fit me. Are the instructions okay? Do the measurements come up correctly? Are they accurate? And just to see how I got on. So I made the pattern as is, with one exception, and that's that I lengthened the peplum by 4 centimetres. I've mentioned before I am quite tall, and I was always going to lengthen it, so I thought I may as well start with that. But I have to say, this is a great pattern. The book is really well written. There are very, very comprehensive instructions, lots and lots of pictures, and the sizing is accurate. So I went by the finished garment measurements, and I've made a top that fits quite nicely. Thank you very much. I don't need to make any amendments. So that for me is a great, great start. I also think that actually, if I lengthened the peplum, that's going to turn it into a dress, isn't it? Because it's just a gathered skirt. So for value for money, I think that's a really, really good pattern. And I'm very, very glad I found it and that I made it. As it happens, I've also been invited to a collaboration. Now, this is my first. I was contacted by Long Crafts. They're in America, and they asked me if I would like to showcase some of their fabric. Well, it's arrived. More rustling. It's here. It's a cotton voile, but it's actually beautiful. It's not as lightweight as I was expecting. It's a nice, nice weight. And I thought that would make a really nice pin tuck version of the blouse. I think the fabric will show off the tucks really nicely, and that would be a really nice Christmas blouse. I have to say, at Christmas time when the oven's on and everyone's here and the central heating's on, I get quite hot in the house, so I don't necessarily want to be wearing a Christmas jumper at home. I wear it out and about, but if I'm at home I want to feel comfortable. And I thought actually a really nice blouse with some smart trousers or even a pair of jeans would be actually a seasonally appropriate outfit for me. So I'm hoping to get that made up in the next week, and I will share it with you. In the meantime, if you'd like to buy some of their fabric, I have a discount code for you. It's very straightforward. It's my username, Bobbin, so it's all lowercase, Bobbin with no G, _ along _ nicely. I'll pop it here for you. But if you want to buy from the website, and I'll pop a link in the description as well, you can have 15% off fabric. And what's not to like about that? I know a lot of you are in the US and that's where they are, so it'd probably be even more cost effective for you from point of view of shipping and everything else. But I'll keep you posted on that. So that's really a quick roundup. I've been so busy. We were travelling for 5 days in total, had a great time away, but it was lovely to come home. We had our sewing social in Pembroke this morning, and we've actually had quite a long chat about what we're going to do with the group in future. And one of the things that we found, I don't know if any of you've been to a social and found this, it's quite hard to sort of think about getting a project specifically packed up for a social. Now I'm lucky enough to have 2 sewing machines. One is my big one, and the other one is a smaller one that's more portable. They take different bobbin sizes, so I can't very easily start a project at the social, bring it home and finish it without rewinding the bobbin, and vice versa. We're all feeling the same way, so we have decided that we are going to do a sew along. So all of us are going to make the same garment. It's not going to start until December because we're not actually meeting until then now. But when I post in a few weeks' time, I'll share my thoughts on the pattern that we've chosen and what I'm going to do with it. So there you are, lots to talk about. I haven't shown you everything that I bought simply because I think it would be too overwhelming. What I'm planning to do is to get my patterns and fabrics all together. So when I'm ready to make something, I'll show you the pattern, I'll show you the fabric, where I bought it from, and hopefully that will make a lot more sense than just, look, I've spent loads of money buying loads of fabric and here's a big pile of my stash that, you know, it just gets confusing for me, if nobody else. So that's my plan. I'm going to be making the sweatshirt tomorrow morning. I'm then going to be moving on to the April blouse, which I'm hoping will be a really, really pretty detailed blouse for Christmas. And then I can start thinking about what my next projects are. I have lots and lots of ideas. And I'm going to sit and write them all down because I've got to the point where there are too many projects in the queue. I don't know which to make next. And I'm just going to sit down with a cup of tea and do some planning. So as ever, thank you for watching. Don't forget to go and check out Long & Craft and maybe use the discount code if you'd like some cheeky fabric supplies in the next few weeks. I will be back with you next week with an update on my sewing progress. As ever, thank you for watching and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.